morning, everyone.
It's on.
Oh, yeah, but I'm the front row. Welcome back for our second day. This morning I'm excited, as we spoke about yesterday, to introduce Mr. Gene Zannetti. I don't want to give too much of his background and steal his show, but Gene really has worked with some of the most talented of athletes, and also is really an expert on mind training. And his purpose this morning is to really get us even more ready for a successful opening. So I hope you all join me in welcoming Gene.
All right. Okay, we got the mic, so if it seems like I'm coming too close or too far, just let me know. It'll be good. All right, so start off double fisting right away, so you know it's a party. All right, well, welcome back. I feel very blessed, very excited to be part of the Clark Schools family. My dad is an accountant here. I'm not going to put him on the spot because he wouldn't like that. But very excited to be here. Not my first time coming here, actually. I was over. I helped the football team with a workout and a mindset talk a few years ago. So it's a nice grand return, really. So got a nice little PowerPoint for you. Compliments of my fiance. I can't take the credit for it. I'm more of the speaker. She's more of the the neat one, right? So here we go. Start off with a little bit of comic relief. As educators, will not drop out. The teacher and the parents are celebrating. Keep calm, teach on. All right, so let's get started. So my background. I guess I am going to get up on the stage. Why not? All right, so a little background. So first things first, it's good to point out that I'm one of you, or I was one of you. So I was a school psychologist at South Brunswick. I did that for a little while, and so I understand the education game. Went to school for many years, many different degrees with all that. I started off at Rutgers. I saw a Rutgers shirt over there before. Got the Rutgers shirt, my guy with the Rutgers shirt. We have a couple Rutgers people in the audience. All right. Okay. All right. Then I wound up going on transfer to the University of Pennsylvania. I was nationally ranked all Ivy League wrestler there. And so were my younger brothers. They were both nationally ranked wrestlers. It was part of our life from third grade right through college. So it was real exciting. Then after that, went on to Springfield College for my master's in exercise science and sports psychology. We'll get to that. That's what this whole mindset thing is. So exercise science, sports psychology. Went on to Montclair State. Probably some Montclair people in the audience. Some hands. All right. How many more schools can I give you? Let's see. Also did a little time at LaSalle. Did time at LaSalle. Was over there. Any LaSalle people? All right, we're getting further and further from here. So, and that was in school psychology. My degree at Montclair State was in school psychology. So that's where learning more of the ropes of education, right? So other things, co-founder of Z Winning Mindset. So that's an interesting story. So with my degree in sports psychology, my brothers and I, we wound up creating a program, Z Wrestling Mindset, Z Winning Mindset, where we help athletes with their mental toughness, their confidence, and their relaxing under pressure. Because we know pretty much anything that we do, it's very mental. Almost anything. Pretty much at your job, a sport, an instrument, speaking in front of people, it's pretty much mental, right? So we realize we have to attack those kind of things head on. Normally we work on the technical components of everything that we're doing, but we don't spend time on the mindset. So that was something we really wanted to get involved with, since that was my background and everything. Started off, again, with fitness. So we were just talking before, who's my Z fanatical? Right here? Okay, so this goes along with being local. So I live about 10 minutes away. I started off as a personal trainer, while the school year is going on. Started off as a personal trainer over at Robert Wood Johnson Fitness and Wellness down the street. Went to Retro Fitness also right here in Clark. We ran workout classes not far down the road, so that was real exciting. We did that. Also, two of the churches that I go to most frequently, St. John the Apostle down the road, what's that, Valley Road down here, and Clark, the one over here in Westfield, St. Helens. So I'm in town. It's good to be back with all this. Very nice guy. One of my so the whole thing with this is one of my professors at the University of Pennsylvania had a syllabus, and then at the bottom it said, very nice guy. I was like, I like that. If I do a presentation, or if I ever have a syllabi, whatever, I'm going to put very nice guy at the bottom. All right, so the idea is I'm going to pass on some of the mindset lessons that we do with our athletes and also with our people. And also some of the main tips for school that we learned from school psychology. We'll weave in some exercise science, so it'll be a nice little smorgasbord of information, which is always the most fun. And I'll try to keep you entertained the whole time too. All right, so actually what I realized I'm going to do, I'm going to do the stick trick first. First thing I need is a volunteer. Volunteer, someone in the upcoming front row. Okay. Always good to start with the prop. Here's the thing with kids. When I give the presentation in front of kids, the only thing they'll remember is the stick trick. What happened? Did I do something funny?
No, he
Being a kid. Yeah, everyone just remember the stick trick. Okay, what I'd like you to do right here, if you could balance this on one finger. So just stare right at the bottom. Just look right down at the bottom of your finger. Oh, easy. Yeah, let's try it again. Right down there at your finger. Oh boy. Maybe third time's the charm. Okay, let's try it again.
What if I can't do it? Let's go, Joe.
Oh. Okay, hang on a second. Wait a minute, we're not done yet. Thank you. Good, polite audience. I like that. So what happens when we make mistakes? What happens when we mess up? We tend to tell ourselves, I'm no good. What if my man said, what if I can't do this? Right? We get down on ourselves. We kick ourselves when we're down. So the key is, it's all about what you focus on. You know, if you're focusing on the right things, you're going to be successful. If you're not focused on the right things, you'll be unsuccessful. Now, I intentionally threw him off a little bit. Watch this. Now, do the same thing, but stare at the top. A little bit easier. There it is. Very good. Now the whole thing is here, my man didn't all of a sudden get more balanced, more coordinated, or anything else in 10 seconds. What happened was he changed his focus. And what we learned, that's obviously an analogy for life. Whatever we focus on, that's going to have a huge outcome. That's the difference between success and failure very frequently. So, the night before, probably a lot of teachers can relate to this. The night before you're going to sleep, you're thinking, what can I do? What can I say? And I realized I'm kind of going a little bit out of order with my slides right here. I wanted to switch this to be before my next slide, because the focus, this really sets the tone for everything that we speak about. Again, with mindset, we work with athletes. We do presentations on Skype. We do presentations on the phone. Not only working with athletes, the Z winning mindset. We have a weight loss mindset program. We help people lose weight. It's all about what they focus on. We're working with sales groups because, again, what you're focusing on is going to make the difference between making sales and not. Anything you do is pretty much mental and what you focus on. So we're going to kind of hammer that point home. But remember the stick trick. Now you have something you can do with your kids right away. They love it. That might be the only thing they remember then, though. All right, here we go. Where's my clicker? Get it started. So I'm going to give you one of the main lessons that we talk about, whether, again, it's weight loss, whether it's exercise, whether it's business, or just life. The difference between the predator-prey mindset. Kids love this. Okay, so if you think about the animal kingdom, I kind of gave you the answer right here. If you look at the animal kingdom and you think about the two different types of animals, predator and prey, how can you tell the difference between a predator and a prey just by looking at them? It's on the board. I gave you the answer. Eyes. So you think about predator animals. Lions, tigers, bears.
Oh my.
That's right, you shout it out if you know the answer. Oh my. Okay, you look at lions, tigers, bears, oh my. And you notice that their eyes are in the front of their head. So we tell our athletes, we tell our people, eyes in the front like to hunt. Okay, we'll get to why this is all important soon. Prey animals, deer, chipmunks, rabbits. Where are their eyes located, on the front or on the side? Side, right there. Why does a predator animal need to have their eyes in the front of their head? What do you think? My men in the front, what do you think? Why does a predator need to have their eyes in the front of their head?
So they can see where they're going.
Right, so they can see where they're going. They're focused. A predator animal is focused on their goal. What's in front of them? Now think about a prey animal. Why does a prey animal need to have their eyes on the side? This side of the rim. to see what's coming, so they're aware, so they don't get eaten. Okay, so when we say, this is an analogy for your whole life, the difference between these predator-prey animals. So if we say a predator athlete, or a predator exerciser, whatever you want to call it, a predator salesperson, a predator teacher is going to focus on their objective, not what's going on around them. So we focus on the things that are in our control. The three things that you can control are your effort, your attitude, and as we said before, you saw up on there going for it, the aggressiveness, taking chances, making attempts. So your effort, your attitude, and aggressiveness, or making attempts, that's within your control as an educator, as a speaker, and anything else you do. Now, prey people are focused on what's going on around them. And it keeps getting worse and worse over time because we think about everyone else, especially with social media. What kind of car is my friend driving? What kind of house is my friend living in? How much money is this person making? Right? We constantly focus on other people. You know, do I look stupid in front of people? Are people laughing at me? Right? Are my friends talking about me behind my back? We think about all those things, and it just throws us off. That's prey mindset. So it's a great way that you could have people visualize what's good to focus on and what's not good to focus on. Your effort, your attitude, we'll call it taking chances, since aggressiveness maybe doesn't apply in this situation as much. Making attempts. Focus on the things that are within your control. Let go of the things that are outside of your control. So that's like a cool, core example of what we do with our program. Same thing with exercise, right? If I'm a personal trainer, Robert Johnson, and Clark over here, Retro, same thing. If we're focused on how I look in front of the people in the gym, I'm not going to want to exercise, right? Hey, my friend lost 10 pounds. I only lost 5. Is that predator-prey mindset? Why? Who am I focused on? Focused on other people. So it's easy to say, but it's much tougher to do in practice. So we have to train our brains to think a little bit differently. But you apply this to every area of your life. Thinking like a predator, not a prey. It's going to make you not only that, but also a lot happier. Not only more successful, but happier. And again, as a school psychologist, it's pretty near and dear to my heart. Depression, suicide, drug abuse, a lot of it is because we're comparing to other people. Right? We're comparing to other people where the grass is always greener on the other side. So this is a life lesson that you really want to think about. In fact, I meant to mention before, as saying I was a local guy. I applied for a school psychology position here, I think like 4 or 5 years ago. You think I got that job? Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't be in front of you right now. You'd have a different entertainer. You have school psychologists in here? All right. She might have got my job. Clearly, it's her job. Better person won, right? Okay, so predator-prey mindset. And what I love about this picture, if you saw the Olympics last year, Michael Phelps. You remember that stare down these two guys were having? Who remembers that? Say aye. Aye. Right. And look, we have our guy who's looking right at the wall, focused on things within his control. And then the second place guy is looking at him. That's a great example of what we're talking about. So we don't want to fall into that trap. We want to focus on things that are within our control. So that's like a foundational lesson that we have. Whoa. So focus. This was the one that I wanted to put before with the stick trick. Right? So I have your focus is your future, and success is no hocus pocus. It's focus, focus. These little rhymes work. I saw it on a bumper sticker the other day. That's not true. What was that in Wedding Crashers? Yeah, I saw it on a bumper sticker. Right? All right, here we go. So, as educators, we have to remember the difference between a captain and a leader. Sounds like, what do you mean? They're the same thing. Well, really, when you look at it, if you're in a sports team, the coach can make you a captain because titles come from above. But only the team can make you a leader. Well, it's the same thing with our students. It's the same thing with the people that we're working with. We could have a position of authority over them, right? But only they can make us the leader. So we just have to be aware of that. There's a difference between being a captain and a leader. Did I explain that clear enough? Titles come from above. Anyone could give you a title. It's the people that are under you that make you a leader. So part of this we're going to be speaking about is becoming a great leader, and it all starts with our why. Oh, that's the next one. So our 3 keys to be a leader. I have to shout out my dad. He's always my hero growing up. And one thing he always told us was, if you want to be a leader, you have to have 3 things. You have to know the way, show the way, and go the way. I think one of his coaches or one of his teachers told him that when he was younger. And you see, notice the trickle-down effect. That's so important to see. If his coach or his teacher said it to him, and now he said it to me, and I'm passing that on to you now. You see, so anything that you say to these kids, they'll remember. And they're going to pass that type of information on, and that's how everything flows. The wheels on the bus go round and round. You have to know the way, show the way, and go the way to be a leader. Know the way. Here's the path. The long and winding road. I wouldn't be able to get through this without my microphone. Without singing. Purpose, our why. We went into Colorado Springs, the Olympic Training Center, back in January. And this was the first thing we covered with the group. You have to know your why. Whether you're an Olympic athlete, whether you're an educator, anything you're doing in life, it all starts with your why. What's your purpose? What's your mission? Get back to that. The best leaders, they know who they are and they know what they believe. Right? So when I talk to these athletes, I say, you look at the greatest warriors of all time, like the Spartans, the samurai, the Aztecs, the Apaches, like what do they all have in common? They know what they believe and they're willing to die for it. Right? I know it sounds extreme, but that's what all those great warriors have in common. They know what they believe and they're willing to die for it. That goes back to your why. That's the same thing. The best CEOs, the best teachers, the best parents, they know what they believe. They're not wishy-washy. Okay, it doesn't mean we're not open-minded, but we can't be so open-minded that our brains leak out. Right? So we gotta know what our why is. And if you have a big enough why, you'll figure out how. Anything you want to do in life, if your why is big enough, you'll find out how. So a lot of these wrestlers that we worked with, they're coming right off an Olympic year, right after Rio de Janeiro. They got to get back to their purpose. Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? So a couple examples. And I'm not telling anyone what to believe, but you need to know your why. Are you trying to glorify God with your life? Trying to change the world? Trying to make a difference? Not telling you what to believe, but know your why. That's going to be what gets you through the tough times. And I remember when I was reading business books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if anyone ever read that, by Robert Kiyosaki. And he said that you have to have, he said, more important than wanting to make money, you have to have that mission. You have to have that reason why. You have to have that purpose. Tony Robbins, one of my great heroes who I watch frequently, right? He said he's all about why. He comes in and he says, everyone thinks I'm a motivational speaker. And he said, I'm the why guy. Why do you do the things you do? If you see his TED Talk, you'll know that that's what he's about. So we got to know what our why is. And this right here is the golden circle. Okay, most of us focus on what we want or how we're going to do something. The center is always the why. The center is the why. And then you'll figure out how and what exactly you could do. Okay, so just remembering to keep the why at the center, and that's how leaders are made. That's when you're really going to have people that are going to gravitate to you. People that are going to follow you because they see your sense of purpose. All the great leaders. Look at Martin Luther King. Look at Mahatma Gandhi. They had a strong why, right? The best teachers, your best teachers, they knew. They had that why. And think about it. When you were a student, who did you want to listen to? The person who just wanted to, the teachers, sometimes they're just clocking in, clocking out. They're happy to just whatever. Or the teachers that are really trying to change the world. The educators that are trying to make a difference, right? My why is I want to give lessons that hopefully you pass on to your children and grandchildren and so on. Right? My why is I want to make the world a better place. I feel this is my way of changing the world. Does it sound grandiose? Yeah, it does. But it's that mentality. Being the change you want to see in the world. Have a strong why. Okay, so we've known the way. Now we've showed the way. Our ducks that are often crossing the street. Whoa, what happened here? We're broke. All right, so showing the way was ducks anyway. Right? All right, so this is real important, and I say it's very important that anything that we do, it has to be evidence-based. I'm very scientific-minded. All the years in school, that's kind of how it is now. You don't do things just to do them. You have to have reasons why you do them, right? So when you give a lecture, just giving a lecture, I normally ask the question, but the answer's up on the board already. 5% of the information you're going to retain if you just listen to a lecture. 5%. That's down there in the toilet. That's almost like you're not even here. Right? So that's why it's important that, we use other and I know I'm preaching to the choir here. It's just a good reminder. Right? Here's another thing I read from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Interesting point. Never say to yourself, I already know this. How often do we listen to a speaker or a parent or a friend, and they tell us to do something that we already know. Like, hey, get 8 hours of sleep. And we say, yeah, I know that. Instead of saying, I already know that, that's lazy thinking. Start asking yourself, how well am I applying this? That's great to tell your kids, too, that you're working with, right? They say, I already know this. Well, how well are you applying this, right? You should be studying 2 hours, at least 2 hours the night before a test. Yeah, I know this. Well, are you applying it? So asking yourself, are you applying this information? So obviously our more active teaching methods are going to be more memorable. Group discussion, practice, teaching others. The first order of business should be anytime you learn something, you teach someone else. My brother Jeff, who owns the business with me, the other co-founder of the Z-Winning Mindset, anytime I learn something, he gets a phone call. Poor guy, right? But it's going to help me. It helps me learn it, and it helps him learn it. And now what happens is you have two people who are just reinforcing that. So teach the lessons you know. That's why, as educators, you'll have the information down a lot better because you're teaching it to other people. Well, remember that when you talk to your students. Have them teach the lessons to other people, finding other ways to do it. Right? We know if we learn a math problem, we teach other person how to do a math problem, we get it down a little bit better ourselves. All right? So making sure that people are engaged with the material. That's so important. And one of the things I was talking about with Ed before was he was saying that a lot of great tools you have here in terms of multimedia and computers and all the stuff that, like, even when we were in school, I'm grouping us all in at the same age. Even when we were in school, all of us, right? You didn't have. Make sure that you use that kind of stuff. Take a risk. Don't just say to yourself, well, I've always done it this way. Okay, that's not how forward thinkers think. That's not how leaders think. That's not how the best in their field think. It comes down to taking those chances. Try something new. Use the tools. Use the technology that you have at your fingertips. Capitalize. Very important. And remember, again, more participatory methods. The more of these, like the different modes of learning, right? Some people are more auditory learners. Some are more visual learners. Some are more kinesthetic. Incorporate it all. I know I'm preaching to the choir. But again, to say to yourself, I already know this, how well am I applying it? Making sure we're applying the information that we know. Oh, here we go. Go the way. Rocky. Great stuff. As a leader, you got to go the way. Who's the quote? The quote that says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Is it Gandhi? What's that? All right, but being the change. This is so important because, again, if you know as an educator and you know as a coach, a lot of times kids aren't listening exactly to what you're saying, but they're watching you. As a parent, same thing. Your kids might not listen to the things you say, but they're watching you like a hawk. It's so important. Hawk, I was J.P. Stevens, right? Not too far down the road. Right. We wrestled against A.L. Johnson back in high school. But right, you got to be a person who is doing things. You have to be consistent with the things that you're saying. I know I'm not telling you anything new, but we got to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. So important. So the first thing we have here is, what am I actually aiming at here? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you're aiming at the screen and work better on this side. Here we go. Okay, so going the way. We talk about likability. All right? I have a great book that I read about this. I think it was Tim Sanders, The Likability Factor. They say people who are more likable, more friends, they're more likely to make more money. People respond to them more. They're more likely to be elected into different, positions and all that. So likability is very important. Another thing, I'm sure the school psychologists could attest to this, right? When I was giving the different IQ tests in the school, you'd have to interview the students after. You'd have to ask them about, family, school, and all this. And I would always ask them, what's your favorite subject in school? And whatever they said, their why was the same. Why is this your favorite subject? Because my teacher's nice. Okay? Almost everyone, I could tell you with like a 90% confidence interval that if I said, what's your favorite class? They would tell me X or Y or Z. Why? Because my teacher's nice. Likability. What are they really saying? It's not just about being nice. It's about being likable. Before we even get into likability, it's very important to stress you never sacrifice the truth for likability. Okay? As educators, I know I'm saying the same thing again, the stuff you already know. but we don't sacrifice the truth for likability. And a lot of times we tend to do that. You tend to do it, I tend to do it. And when you think about it, that's really more prey mindset. Remember the predator mindset versus prey? Predator, we focus on our effort, our attitude, and taking chances. Prey mindset, we're focused more on how do I look to other people. I don't want to let anyone else down. I don't want to be seen as a failure. I don't want people not to like me. That's why we make a lot of our decisions. So we got to pick it up in that area. We got to pick it up in that area. We got to not focus so much on if they like me or not. If you do these 4 tips that I'm going to give you, you will be more likable to your students. But it's so important, especially this day and age, where there's a lot of, let's face it, a lot of messed up things going on. And it starts from messed up thinking. So we can't sacrifice the truth for likability. That's so important. And what contributes to this is this whole idea, this whole philosophy of relativism. Okay, so I have a little depiction here. So relativism is, well, this is your truth, this is my truth. And then what do we conclude? Well, there is no truth. And then, right? Think about that for a second. Just let that set in. So this is my truth, and someone says, well, that's my truth. So then we say, well, there is no truth. And then we wonder why people are messed up. All right? You know, for people who are more engineer-minded, you understand that there's certain principles you have to follow, or the bridge falls. Right? You can't build the bridge however you want. You have to follow some kind of rules. You have to follow the parameters. So you can't just say there is no truth. And then we have here this relativism philosophy. It's highly popular, highly dangerous, and ultimately inaccurate. Okay? And then over here, I wanted to make the difference between an objective truth versus subjective truth. This is important to know. This day and age, so many people are sucked into this relativism, and as educators, we have to know this. We can't sacrifice the truth for likability. So, subjective truth has to do with the subject. A little early for philosophy, but that's okay. I'm going to give it to you. If I say, what's the best coffee? I say Starbucks. You say Dunkin' Donuts. I say Starbucks. You say Dunkin' Donuts. And then what happens? I punch you. Right? Right? Because the point is this. In that situation, because we're dealing with subjects, there can be different truths. My truth for favorite coffee is different than your truth. But let's say we're talking about something like, this water bottle. Is this water bottle here or not? That is an objective reality. You can't say this water bottle's here, and I say, no, it's not there. And you say, yes, it is. And I'm like, well, that might be your truth. But my truth is that it's not here. Does that make sense? That's an important thing to know, because when we don't have that thinking straight, we tend to make a lot of mistakes. So an objective reality is true or false, whether you know it, like it, or believe it. We have to know that. And I say that because, again, going back to those school psychology roots, which especially now working with athletes and sales teams and weight loss, I don't get to bring back as much as I like, but here I can. There was almost like a diligent avoidance in the schools of saying right or wrong or good or bad, right? It was like inappropriate behavior, unacceptable choices, right? It's like if a kid's disrespectful to you, it's not just inappropriate or unacceptable. That's a bad thing, right? That's an immoral thing. They shouldn't be doing that. And I don't think it's a bad thing that we say that. Like, this is a good behavior. That's a moral behavior. Don't just sugarcoat it by saying, and I'm not talking about judging people. I hope no one gets me wrong here. I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying you're a good person. I'm saying that's a bad thing to do and that's a good thing to do. That's why kids tend to go off in different directions, because they say, well, I don't have to do this if I don't want. Right? Because that sense of right and wrong isn't there. So as educators, we need to be aware of that. I'm very aware of that with my athletes. Right? You have to follow certain principles, follow certain truths. So knowing that difference. Okay, that being said, how do we become more likable? The fun stuff. Number 1, friendliness. Smile when you enter the room, when you see people. Simple smile goes a long way. It's a universally accepted sign of, I accept you, I like you, I'm open to you. And I wasn't planning on using this example, but it's coming to my head now. In one of the Middle Eastern countries, they had soldiers were going out there, and I think that there wasn't any kind of harm going on, there wasn't any kind of combat, but the oncoming group was walking towards them, and the general, the person who was in command, told them just smile, right? And it totally diffused the situation. I don't know exactly which book I'm getting it from. Is it Malcolm Gladwell? Is it something like that? But it's just when you smile, you communicate acceptance. You communicate that you like the person. So I know it's tough. You don't always feel like smiling, but greeting people with the hello, positivity, upbeat, feeling good. If you do that, it's going to be contagious. Even if you don't feel like it with your coworkers. You want to have this kind of family environment, and we're going to hit on that. But if you want the school to be, if you want things to be a more pleasant environment, again, be the change you wish to see. If you smile at someone, it has that domino effect, right? That pay it forward movie. Making sure if you do it, someone else is going to do it. And it works the other way too. If you cut someone off, now they're mad while they're driving. They cut someone else off, and everyone has a poorer experience. So if we want to be likable, simple. Start with smiling, positive body language, happy. Also, with our body language, that's so important to communicate with your students. Now here's where the mindset starts coming in. The simplest way to change the way you feel is to change the way you're moving. Another great Tony Robbins point. The simplest way to change the way you feel is to change your body movement. Okay, so if you're not interested in something, you're bored, you're tired, it's early, right? The simplest thing you could do is start changing the way you move. Lean forward. Open your eyes wider. Nod your head. Even if you don't care. Even if you don't care. But that's what you do. If you do this, you find that in any area of life, at the gym, you don't feel like exercising. I say, you know what? Pretend you care. Pretend you're excited. We used to do this at Penn when we were, back in wrestling in college. And 7 out of our 10 guys made the NCAA tournament. Almost everyone was ranked in the country. We had a 7 a.m. lift. Who the heck wanted to be there for 7 a.m.? Literally no one. Even some of the top college athletes in the country. We had a 2-time national champ on the team. No one wants to be there for a 7 a.m. lift. So what did we start doing? Consciously or unconsciously, we started acting awake. We're pushing each other, we're yelling, we're bumping it, guys being guys, right? But it woke us up. It made us, and all of a sudden you kind of like trick your mind into thinking, I want to be here. So it's the same thing with exercise, the same thing with education. You don't feel like being there. Some days it happens, some days it's more of a job. I get it. Act like you want to be there. The gym, school, our family. I'm sure you do this with your family, the parents in here. You don't always feel like being a parent. Probably a lot of times you want to take a little bit of a vacation, right? My brother's in that boat right now. He's got 3 kids. He's 2 years younger than me. But you act like you want to be there, and it's going to help you a little bit. Now again, it's not a magic pill. It's not a quick fix. We're not magicians here or psychics. You look at it like this. If on a scale of 1 to 10, your enthusiasm level is at a 2, if you could bump that up to a 4 or 5, consider it a win. If you're exercising, you're at practice, you're in the band, you're in the choir, you don't feel like being there, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're at a 2, how do we bump that up to a 4 or 5? The people who are at a 4 or 5, how do we bump that up to a 7 or 8? And you find that if you do that, if you keep counting change like that, so to speak, you're a better student. You're in better shape. You're making more money. You're a better athlete. You're doing better in the choir. You're first chair in the band, and on and on and on, right? It adds up. So it starts with body language. The simplest way to change the way you feel is to change the way you move. So we know it. How well are we applying it? It's got to start there. Okay, so friendliness, a little bit of a detour. But that's the way that, far be it from me to disrupt the organic flow of life. Friendliness is number 1. Number 2 is relevance. Being current. Being unique. Giving the kids a reason to want to see you. To want to show up at practice. To want to come to class. To want to see you in special services. Whatever it is. In the office. Whatever it is. Being relevant. Being relevant. So that goes along with being current. It's important to know things about, what's going on in the news. Current fashion trends. What are kids getting into? Right? And I know for our business, we had to adapt. I was not really a big social media guy, especially like Instagram, Snapchat. I don't like stopping my day to take pictures. All right? My fiance is the opposite, so we have a lot of pictures. All right? And her name is Gina, by the way, so Jean and Gina. That's pretty funny. It's pretty odd. So we're both talkers, but she's much more organized. Anyway, so making sure that, okay, Snapchat, Instagram, you don't have to be on it, but you better know about it because that's what the kids are on. And eventually, it will be something else. And you better know about that. So staying current, asking questions, it's just very big. And being up on the news, being up on even, pop culture, those kind of things. We might not care about it. I don't care about staying current. I just want to absorb as much information as I can. But if you do that, you kind of lose the audience, right? That's why that first slide we had with the Giants kicker, trying to be relevant, okay? I'm not a big pro football fan. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I'm more of a college football fan. But I figure there's probably more Giants fans in the room than Notre Dame fans. So when I'm trying to pick which picture I want to use, I really want to use Notre Dame. But let me be more relevant to my audience. Okay, so sometimes we have to because that's a subjective truth right there. That's not objective truth. So I want to bend that kind of thing to my audience to get more, more buy-in. Okay, so being current, being unique. And also being current goes along with the media that we use, the way we teach our classes, asking, having the humility. Having the humility to ask other people, what do you do? What do your students respond to? Look, everyone kind of wants to be the innovator. I want to do things my way. I want people to copy off me. But we got to have that humility that, there's other ways out there. And if I could take a little piece from that person, and a little piece from this person, and a little piece from that person, it's going to be all together a better program, a better package, right? So having that humility, and that goes along with being a predator, not focused on what other people are thinking about me. So being current, being unique. So relevance. So it's friendliness, relevance. Next. Oh, it's this side of the room. For some reason when I click, I'm always clicking over there. I must start over here and then work over there. Boom. Realness. You got to be real. You got to be real. It can't just look like it's just, we're in front when we're educating. It's just like some kind of like machine or some kind of robot. It's important to be real. And I think with realness, an important thing there is the willingness to emote, the willingness to show emotions. Like, you get into it. If you're excited about something, show it. Don't stifle the emotions. Show it. If certain things frustrate you, I'm not talking about overreacting, but it is important to let them know that you're human. You're with them. You feel the same things they feel. So being real, being the change you wish to see. How many times we said that? And also, the realness goes along with, this is who you are. And in fact, that was probably one of my favorite compliments that someone ever gave me, or my brother. And that's, we're a lot of times involved in athletes and sports communities, right? And then we're hanging out with some of the coaches, and they saw that we're eating pretty clean, weren't drinking a lot of alcohol, too much or anything, right? It's like we were kind of living consistently with the things that we were preaching. I'm not talking down to anyone. We all make mistakes. Funny things happen, right? But being consistent with the lessons that we're giving other people. Again, people might not be listening to you, but they are watching you. And what is it, like 90% of communication is nonverbal? Something like that? People can sense pretty quickly if you're not consistent with the things that you're saying. And once they pick up on that, forget it. People don't trust you. There goes the realness, right? So you got to be congruent with the things that you're saying. And that's why I think it's important that, you take good care of yourself to the best of your ability. No one has to be a fitness model or anything, but try to take good care of yourself. Live a clean life. Getting good sleep. The things you're saying to the kids, you do it yourself. And then also it helps us relate to people better too, because we see that, hey, their struggles, we have the same struggles as you. If I'm trying to live the kind of lifestyle I'm teaching my kids and my athletes, and they're saying, hey, it's hard. I'm like, yeah, it is hard. I messed up the other day, right? So being real, being able to relate to them, being consistent. It shouldn't be, hey, this is me when I'm at school, this is me when I'm at work. I get it. We all are a little bit different. We kind of have to be, social norms. I get that. But overall, we should be pretty much the same person. Here, at home, in different places. We should try to be positive all the time. We should have good body language constantly. What good is it if you're only positive and smile in front of your kids, but the students, but not your spouse or your friends, right? So there should be mostly consistent. It should be mostly consistent, our body language and our positivity. And finally, empathy. So I posted the Italian flag, La Familia Italiana, right? So the point is, it's important with our empathy, making everyone feel like they're part of a group. That's an important thing. So we're all in this boat together. The Clark Schools family, right? All of us, maybe we're different schools, but all within the same town. Having that kind of family environment. And family, it's really, it can't be about, you did this, so now I have to do that. Or I did that, and you have to do this. It can't be keeping score. And think about it, is keeping score predator-prey mindset? Why? It doesn't have to do with effort, attitude, or taking chances, right? It's focused on, are things even? Am I getting my due? Are people disrespecting me? Right? So be active. Be a volunteer. If one of you, this, again, the Clark Schools family, if someone needs a hand, be the first person to volunteer. Be the first person to volunteer. Don't wait for someone else to pick up the trash or something on the ground. We look at it, we have that humility that no job is below us. I'm willing to do whatever I have to do. And those are the best leaders. Again, George Washington did not want to be the president, but he considered himself first and foremost a servant of the country. I'll say that again because it's pretty important. George Washington did not want to be president. In fact, he told everyone that he was unfit to be the president. But he humbly accepted because he said, first and foremost, he's a servant of the country. And that's what leaders are. Leaders are the first servants. Leaders are the first volunteers. And when other people see that, we have a little bit more respect for that person, don't we? If we see someone's willing to get down there in the trenches, willing to do the things that maybe are undesirable, that's a good thing. So empathy, relating to other people, right? And also telling the kids, telling the students we work with, hey, I know what it's like when I was your age. It was tough. It wasn't easy. Maybe giving a story. You don't want to be the person who's constantly going on with war stories like, when I was your age, we used to do this, and we walked 5 miles to school, and it was uphill both ways, right? We don't want to, if that was possible, right? Our war stories. We don't want to be that, but it is good to share some experiences so they realize, hey, this isn't just some adult. They were like me before. I know this is stuff you already know. But again, how well am I applying it? And usually we know it better than we're applying it. So it's a good lesson to all of us. To my own self be true, right? All right, so empathy, no keeping score, be the volunteer, be active, right? Boom. Now we're going to go into, so again, I have to give another mindset lesson because it goes along with, again, going the way. The words that we use are so important. I'm a big believer in word power. So if you look at the chain right here, our words affect our thoughts. Our thoughts affect our behaviors, and our behavior winds up affecting our destiny, our outcomes. So the words we use really count. And you think about it, we think in pictures, we think in songs. Some of us think in songs, I do, right? But we also think in words. A big part of our thinking comes down to our words. So when we change the words that we use, we wind up having a better experience. It's like what we're focusing on with the stick trick. I'm like putting my hand out. So what's he doing? All right, number one. All right, so the words we use. So I call this segment Eliminating Problems, Worry, and the Awful. Simple word changes you can make, simple word changes you can have your kids make, and your family members, and all of a sudden you see everything's more positive, it's more proactive, it's more rational. You see, it's very important to me for things to be rational, for things to be clear. Number one, problems. Rip that word out of your dictionary. If you have a dictionary at home, go in. You don't need it. You have your phone now that you do it. Tear that page right out. It's not problems anymore. It's challenges. People like challenges. People don't like problems. If you change those words, it has a different connotation in your mind. Your mind hears it a little bit differently, and you start to respond more positively. It could be the same exact event. You call it a problem, you're going to stress. If you call it a challenge, people like to meet challenges. You're going to be more excited. You're going to be more enthusiastic. So eliminate problems by stop calling them that. Challenges. Number two is worry. Right? Think about this. Well, I'm not going to worry about this today. I'm going to worry about that. How many of us are guilty of saying that? Say aye. Aye. Put up 2 hands for myself. All right? Like, all right, talk to my brother about the business. Hey, we're not going to worry about calls today. We're going to worry about our standard operating procedure. Wrong. We don't worry about anything. Take out the word worry, swap it for the word focus. It does the same exact thing. Think about it. I'm not going to focus on this today. I'm going to focus on that. It changes the connotation in your head. It's more positive, it's more proactive, and it's more logical. It's more rational. Don't worry about things. Start saying focus, right? And this is tough to do. You catch yourself doing it. I teach this stuff on a daily basis. I still catch myself saying these things. So this is an ongoing, all these things that we talk about are ongoing life lessons. Start applying it at home. Have a buddy, your spouse, a friend, a coworker who helps keep you honest with this kind of language. It'll help. And then the bottom one, the awful. When we say something is awful, terrible, horrible, stinks, or sucks. It's so common, we all do it. I'm guilty of it. Change those words. Because when we say something is awful, terrible, horrible, stinks, sucks, we're calling it 100% bad. We're damning the situation. And it's lazy thinking. It shuts your mind down. When you say something's awful or something sucks, you're in effect saying something is 100% bad. It's lazy thinking. We can't promote lazy thinking. So instead, you say a situation is aggravating. It's inconvenient. It's frustrating. It's annoying. I'm not telling you to look at the world through rose-colored glasses, right? I get it. Sometimes things are annoying. They're frustrating. But they're not awful or terrible or horrible. They're not 100% bad. So this lazy thinking sometimes comes from the words that we use. And I know it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, these words, but if you change just these three, and we have a whole worksheet of this. So again, as we said before with the teaching pyramid, if you just listen to a lecture, you're not going to remember as much information. So in our programs, our mindset programs, whether it's, again, weight loss, sales, sports, wrestling, with these kids and these adults that we work with, right, they have to write this stuff down on paper. How frequently they make these mistakes. There's about 9 more of these. Common mistakes we make in our words that change our outcomes in life. The words are the first step. They're the first step in our thinking. So change them, and you want to be more successful. Sure enough, I'm on this side when I'm going to click. Test! Oh yeah. All right, now time to put you guys on the spot. Guys and gals. Team. First one, your focus is, what were the sayings? Our focus is our future. Right? And what else do we say? Success is no hocus pocus, it's? That's right. Success is no hocus pocus, it's focus, focus. All right, good. So far, so good. 1 for 1. Next. So again, we got to recap. Now you're teaching me. You see how we're doing that? I gotta apply the things that I'm telling you. Predators. We talked about predator and prey. Prey animals' eyes are on the side of their head. They're focusing on what's going on around them. Predators are focused on what's going on in front of them. What are the 3 things that are within our control? Attitude? Effort? The aggressiveness, taking chances. Right? We say aggressive, we're taking chances. Going after it. Living life playing to win. Not playing not to lose. There's a difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. And unfortunately, as life goes on, we want to prevent that devastating moment, that sadness. So we play not to lose. We want to play to win in anything that we're doing. Right? You only have one go around. So predators are focused on their effort, their attitude, and we'll say, taking chances, the aggressiveness. Right? Good. 2 for 2. Next one. What was the middle of the golden circle? We talked about being a leader. Why? We got to know our purpose. We got to know our mission. Leaders are excellent at continuing to go back to the why. Your why, and this is what we do. Our goal setting week 1 with our worksheets. Goal setting week 1, we talk about you have your long-term goal, but more important than your goal is your why. When times come that are difficult, when bad things happen to you in life, it's your why that's going to push you through. When you're having a bad day, your why is going to get you through. The money isn't going to be the thing that pushes you. I mean, that's a motivator too. But your why is really going to be what keeps you positive about it, what keeps you excited, what keeps the passion going. So get back to that mission. What's your purpose? 3 keys to being a leader. My dad's saying, what was it? Know the way. Show the way. Go the way. All right, good. Got to know the way. We got to know the truth. We got to live the truth. We got to be the truth, right? We got to make sure that we got to know that ourselves. We got to be firmly rooted first before we educate anyone else in any area. Before I coach anyone else, you got to know the truth. The example I was going to use was with personal training. I meant to say this one before. I'm going to hit you with it now because I think it's worth covering, right? We talked about that objective, subjective truth. I'd have women come in and they say, they want to lose this off their arms, or they want their stomach, right? They want it to be flattered. Right? If you come to me as a personal trainer, I could say, well, your truth is your truth. You can pick these exercises. You can pick those exercises. There's studies out there that show what's going to help you lose more weight, what's going to make you more toned. So you're coming to a trainer because I'm educating you. I'm trying to tell you which exercises are going to help you the best. right? I can't just make things up. And the same thing with guys. Guys saying they want to be stronger, they want to get bigger, they want to improve their testosterone levels. They've done studies on all this. It's not your truth versus my truth. So we can't sacrifice that truth. Being a leader, knowing the way, showing the way, I got to be congruent with the things that I'm saying. And that will come through. That comes through with our friends. That's why one of the worst things we say with other people is being fake. We don't like fake people, right? So we've got to be congruent with the things that we teach other people. We'll know the way, show the way, and go the way. Okay, 4 keys to likability. That's a tougher one. What are they? Empathy, so relating to them. Friendliness. What's the number one thing, the simplest thing I could do for friendliness? Smile. Smile. Okay, good. What was the other one? Empathy. We said friendliness. Relevance. So being real. Again, that goes along with being congruent with the things that I talked about, right? And also being up to date, current with what's going on. Might not seem important, but it is. If your kids see you're with it, they're going to be more likely to listen to you. And what was the other one? I'm trying to think. I got it. The opposite of being fake is being what? Real. Right. So being real with people. So those are the 4 keys to likability. Very important. Okay, good. 3 word changes. Which words did we say we're going to change from now on? Problems. What are we going to call from now on? Challenges. People don't like problems. People like to beat challenges. But second one? Worry. What word are we going to start using from now on? Focus. Right. It's not about worry. It's about what we're focused on. We're not worried about anything. And finally, what was the last one? What the last main word? So, there's actually a few of them. Awful, terrible, horrible, stinks, sucks. All right? That's damning a situation. We're making it 100% bad. Instead, what are some other options we could use? Frustrating, aggravating, annoying, inconvenient. The words we use are going to have a big impact. And also, and finally, relativism is a garbage philosophy. It's illogical, highly popular, and it's ultimately wrong. We have to know it. We have to know what the truth is, and then we have to live that way. We got to live congruent with that. It's so important this day and age. So, first test, boom, we got our A+ on the board. Very good, excellent stuff. I kind of gave you one, that realness one. I really had to clue you in. So we'll give you the A+. So pay it forward with your students. All right. And then finally, just so one thing I put on here was, so other ways. So I also did a presentation like this when I was in South Brunswick. My dad's on the board. In other words, different ways you get in touch with me. Like I said, my dad's the accountant, Ed the superintendent, Mike. He helped us tremendously with our website. But these are, we had a list, top 10 ways to motivate your student. You could YouTube me, I have that on there. I included the learning pyramid, I included likability. There's a few other lessons in there. Really, we're all over YouTube because we have constant lessons about everything with mindset. And again, the cool thing about mindset is it really applies to everything. All of us think. We all have to think, so we might as well think properly. And again, going back to that relativism, there are some better ways to think than others. Some ways that are more positive, some ways that are going to lead to greater happiness than others. So we want to make sure that our thinking is clear. We want to get our minds right. Also, we're all over, if you look at wrestling mindset, winning mindset, my name, we're over Facebook, Instagram, and all those other things. Oh, LinkedIn, that is, not Instagram. So any way we can help, we're happy to. And finally, some comic relief at the end. So quiet and well behaved. I told them in glue sticks will lip balm. So, what are we ultimately saying? Do whatever works. That's not what we're saying, but it is funny. Yeah, at the very least, this type of stuff entertains the heck out of me. And it's good lessons, though, overall. It's still very good lessons. So anyway, we can help you. We're happy to help. We're good about with time. All right, anything you guys need, you can always get in touch with us. Very good.